In this video, I'm going to talk to you about your thyroid gland, what it is, what it does, and specifically what happens when it's not working, called hypothyroidism. My name is Sabrina Yoder, and I'm a nurse practitioner with Matsu Midwifery and Family Health. I see a lot of patients for thyroid issues. It often gets a bad rap and is the first thing that people will blame for their symptoms. Many see it as kind of an ultimate solution. If I can just get my thyroid medication dose correct, I'm going to feel amazing. Or if I could just get my provider to start me on medication, I'll feel great. But it's not always that easy. If you're one of those simple few who you start taking a pill and all of your problems for health are solved, great for you. But for the rest of us, we have to do a little bit more work. So first, let's start with what is your thyroid? Your thyroid gland is a small gland in the shape of a butterfly that sits right below your Adam's apple. It weighs about half an ounce and it can increase in size with iodine deficiency. It's in the shape of a butterfly and it has two lobes, the left and right lobe with an isthmus in the middle that's connecting them. The job of your thyroid is to produce two hormones, T3 and T4. Most of the hormone that's produced by your thyroid is T4, 80% in fact. However, T3 is 4 times as potent as T4. But another caveat, of all the T3 that you have in your body, only 1/6 of it is produced by your thyroid. The rest of it is actually converted from T4 in your tissues. This is very important. Hypothyroidism is when your gland of your thyroid is not producing enough T3 and T4 as it should. The symptoms of hypothyroidism are many and diverse. Basically, think of it as a slowing down of your systems, your metabolism, your thermostat, all of these things. However, I do want to make mention that hyperthyroidism, which is when your thyroid is producing too much hormone, actually can also cause fatigue and insomnia. So you just have to remember that just because you see symptoms on here doesn't mean that you for sure have low thyroid levels. And as another precaution, nearly everyone who looks at this list will find one or more symptoms that you have. Of all of these symptoms, they're so common and they can have many other causes besides hypothyroidism. So just take that with a grain of salt. This is why it's extremely important to have a comprehensive medical exam and a provider who can review your history to see if there's any other causes for your symptoms, and to look at all of the lab's values that can have a play in this. The next thing I want to address is what your thyroid needs to function properly. In other words, if your thyroid is functioning low, why? What's the cause? Sure, genetics play a part, but as we say in functional medicine, genetics load the gun and environment pulls the trigger. So basically, this means that your mother and sister might have hypothyroidism, but that doesn't mean that you're doomed to have it. It does mean that you might have a propensity for it, and you have to work extra hard to help prevent your body from getting hypothyroidism or from having all the symptoms, but you're not completely doomed to it. So there are other causes for hypothyroidism besides genetics. For example, in order for your thyroid to produce hormones, you need to have the nutrients in order to make thyroid hormone. So T4 and T3 are made from iodine and the amino acid called tyrosine. But this formation takes other nutrients, selenium, zinc, iron, vitamin E, B2, B3, B6, vitamin C, vitamin D. All of these nutrients are essential to make thyroid hormone. Zinc and selenium also help convert T4 to T3, and deficiencies of these nutrients can affect conversion, which means that you might have low T3. Zinc and vitamin A help your body cells, think muscle cells, brain cells, gut cells, which can translate to fatigue, brain fog, constipation, helps those cells to be sensitive to thyroid hormones. But we don't just need good nutrients for thyroid gland health. We also need to avoid things that inhibit production. So this is things like stress, infections, traumas, and when I say trauma, I mean physical traumas like a car accident, emotional traumas, psychological traumas, radiation, certain medication, toxins like pesticides, heavy metals, endocrine disrupting chemicals, also extremely low calorie diets, which is not the same as intermittent fasting, but more like unhealthy extreme dieting or anorexia, liver and kidney problems, lack of exercise, autoimmunity, inflammation, and those are entirely different topics on their own. So all that to say that if you or your provider finds that your thyroid hormone levels are low, you may start medication and have some improvement in your symptoms, but if you don't address all of the other factors, high quality nutrition, stress reduction and release, avoiding toxins, and so on, then you will never achieve optimal health. On the other hand, if you had started with these things first, you may not have had to take thyroid medication or may not have needed the same dose, or maybe you're on the same dose, but you actually feel good instead of still feeling awful. Because the other thing that happens is that people will feel like they need a higher and higher dose of medication, when in fact, it's the many other factors that go into play about making the hormone, converting the medication, and, and being receptive to it in your tissues. So, in summary, your thyroid gland is extremely important, and the symptoms of hypothyroidism can be significant. But when you're looking at your numbers, make sure that you're looking at the big picture, your lifestyle, your diet, exercise, toxin exposure, and nutrients, and adjust these things first, or at least at the same time, if you want to achieve optimal health.